Getting to the basics here. This might sound a little crude. It's not meant to be, but it is what it is. Sugarcoating things and sticking our heads in the sand and pretending that something that is isn't never helped anyone. I was witness to a friend of mine advising another man who was really down and out about a woman that had left him. And the friend that I had was asking this depressed man, hey, I have a question for you. If this woman that you're so broken up for leaving you, if she did not have private parts, you know, I'm being polite here, if she didn't have her private parts due to some freak accident or something, she didn't have that, so she could give you everything. She could come back, she could give you her companionship and everything else, but she did not have a private part, so no sex. Would you still want her? I want you to think about that before you answer. And he really thought about it, and the answer was really no. And the reason I said this video is going to be crude is because in order to understand things, in order to really know what things are about, you have to deconstruct them. You know, just like Russians that get a hold of a Western-made military aircraft, and they deconstruct it and take it apart to see, you know, what it's made of, how they made it. And you have to do the same. You know, relationships between men and women is basically sex in exchange for money. No matter how much you try to sugarcoat it, how much you try to make it more civilized, how much you try to make it more polite, how much you try to make it more modern, but it is what it's all about. And if you have a shadow of a doubt, ask yourself, if this woman that you're interested in, if she could not offer you intimacy, would you be still interested in him? And ask yourself the same question on the opposite side. If a woman really liked the guy, you really liked how he looked and everything, and how he was funny or whatever, but he didn't have any money. He was broke, he didn't have a place to sleep, he didn't have a car, he used public transportation whenever he could get enough money to buy a bus ticket. He was broke, down and out. Would she still want him? We both know the answer. So to understand relationships, deconstruct it and go down to the basics. Just like when you want to make a building, whatever, what do? You make the foundation first, and then you put the building on top of it. If that foundation is not there, is that building gonna stand? If sex is not there for the woman to offer, and money is not there for the man to give in exchange, would that relationship stand? No. Why do relationships fall apart? Because she loses respect for him, and she finds somebody who has more resources. And men, why do men leave women? Let's face it, why do men leave women that are old and not attractive anymore and go and pay gladly half of their money to be with someone younger and someone that they're actually sexually attracted to? You see how it goes all down to the basics? So when a relationship that you're in ends, or when it's thriving and everything is going well, just remember, my friends, it's all because of those two basics. A simple exchange, nothing more, nothing less. So if you're a man who's had it, you know, you could be in your 40s, you could be in your late 30s, you could be in your 50s, but you've had it. You have decided that it's simply not worth it to put up with the BS that women give you these days because of the artificial powers that has been given to them by the feminist movement and courts and politics. I'm not saying that a woman should not be able to go out there and work and earn her money and everything, but there are rules that have been added on top of it. The divorce laws, the feminism powers, that somebody can come and say, oh, 40 years ago, he said something to me that sounded that it may be sexual, and the guy loses his job. I mean, come on, for God's sake. This actually happened to this Olympic trainer You know, some woman said, I think what he said 38 years ago, now that I think about it, was a little sexually oriented, and the guy loses his job. You know, this is what I'm talking about. If you've had it, if you don't want to even mess with that anymore, because we're not going to win. We're not going to win. In our lifetime, we're not going to change those laws. What do? You move yourself to places. You put your fishing pole, in the ponds that have the fish that are more desirable, and in a place where these rules do not exist, where these madness, these craziness are not hanging over our head like a black cloud. That men and women are at least as close as they can be to the basics, to the basic exchange that I referred to in this video. That none of that BS exists. Nobody can come and say, oh, you said something 38 years ago, I think, that sounded maybe sexual. And for that, I think you need to lose your job. No, even women are getting hurt from this. Now when there's job interviews, they have two people in the room, you know, to make sure that she's not going to say, oh, he said something that was sexual, whatever. And now women are complaining that men are even afraid to approach us or be alone in a room with us because of these things that later on, you know, there might be some sexual claim or something. So they're completely avoiding us. Well, whose fault is that? Go back to the basics, my friend. Go back to the basics. It's just a simple exchange. Don't involve your heart. It's not about the heart. It's about a passing desire. All the best.